Okay. So it's really good to see everybody here and joining us for the celebration of 15 years. Chris and I were just talking briefly about, you know, many presses don't last that long and many close down after 5 years even. So I'm really lucky. But I have a lot of good people around me and that makes a difference and a lot of help. And I'm always very, very grateful. And we have a great community here. We really do. And a lot of wonderful people really everywhere. That's, very helpful. So just a little bit about the press. We have published over 200 books, have a reading series, poetry and translation roundtables, an artist and poet series, pastry with poets series, the Lost Bookshelf bookstore, a monthly newsletter, and Read America Read. So if you need any more information about us, all you have to do is check out our website. So our first reader tonight is Jennifer Badot, and she's a regular at our poetry roundtables and was part of our poet and artist series. And her work is just amazing, her paintings and what she does. I'm in awe of her. Really nice stuff. Her poetry has appeared in the Boston Globe, the Boston Phoenix Literary Supplement, Stuff Magazine, Lift, and many other journals. So I give you Jennifer.
Hi, everybody. It's really, really great to see so many people here. Like, first of all, there are members of my family here who have never heard me read, including my father, and some of my oldest friends are here as well. So wow, and my son Julian is also here. So this is pretty exciting. So thank you everybody, and all the people who came out for Chris, and it's great to meet you, Chris. So it's so good to be here, and thank you, Gloria, for inviting me to be a part of this celebration reading series for the 15 years of the press. And thank you, although I know you do have amazing help and support around you, but I would really particularly like to thank you for all that you do to support poetry, poets, writing, books, both in the community in Somerville, but well beyond Somerville. So thank you, Gloria. Congratulations on 15 years. Amazing. So I decided, in the spirit of the passage of time in celebrating anniversaries, a lot of, for me, it just made me feel I wanted to just go back into some early work, to dust off my own archives and just kind of hoist up to the present some very old work, actually. I knew that some members of my family were going to be here. So I wanted to pick at least a couple of pieces that might make them attending this reading worth it, in that they might know, like, at least, something might resonate. Like, so for example, my first poem, and the other thing I wanted to say was that I chose these poems just because of their the key that they're played in. This is not a minor key, I don't think. I think it's mostly a G. Jay can tell me, Jay, my partner, who's a musician, he can tell me after the reading if it's a G or a D or E minor, but I'm pretty sure that it's mostly a major key. And it's also really about childhood and memory and love. So that was kind of what I was trying to stick to. I might have snuck in a couple of little things, but we'll see. All right, the first poem is Overnight with Thelma. Thelma's my grandmother. All afternoon we play cards, cribbage, rummy, gin, and on like that till dark. When we rise from the body warm couch, her sighing, oh, my soul and bones, till she stands and is walking, breathless, to the stove. At the sink, we snap green beans. She puts the pork to braise. We talk, eat, wash up. And for the slow night that will lace itself around us, we put on our nightgowns. Hers is sleeveless blue, broken capillaries, baroque on her skin. I just have to touch the long woman years. Mother of my mother, what bright colors I dream from your narrow, spare bed. This next poem is called Cookout, 1969. I shuck butter and sugar corn with my cousins. My grandmother scoops melon into balls, slippery pastel pearls tossed into a bowl. On the screened porch, my mother and my aunts smoke and laugh loud about I really don't know what. Across the yard, I can see the coals, fiery and dangerous, beneath the black grime of the grill. My sunburnt uncles, my handsome father, gulp bourbon at the picnic table, shredding paper napkins as they talk. In 3 years, one of them will be gone, lost to love in another town. Here's another poem with the year 1969 in the title. I guess this is a little bit of a tick of mine. I'll have to watch that. It's called Penmanship Lesson 1969. And what I want to say about this poem is probably most of you in this room, except for a couple of except for Julian, my son, and he might even remember this, but the fluorescent lights in the classrooms of the 1960s were just intense, and I was very sensitive to fluorescent light. I saw auras. I was stunned by them. They were, anyway, so that's all I'll say about this poem. All right, Penmanship Lesson, 1969. The classroom vibrates and shimmers in cold streams of fluorescent light that cast violet blue auras around Mr. Moran's bald head. I watch how he connects everything, one letter to the next. His long fingered hand ascending, descending along the chalk lines, filling the blackboard with a symmetrical sea of M's and N's and O's, the fluorescence stunning me, carrying me away into nebulas of color. My voice feels locked inside a cloud, so I hold my pencil tighter and bear down on the pale, pulpy yellow paper. Each curve I form keeps the galaxy from veering off its ecstatic course of spilled stars. So, just staying with the childhood and the memory and the love as much as possible. Field. Coming into my mind for 3 days now. That field in snow, my blue mittens wet with snow clumps. the sun arching his back in asanas, lighting up the land. Pine tree brushing her long scented hair, healing me, making of me a loved child standing in a field. I think I'm good for time, but I'll keep an eye on the clock. Floor plan. I was born in a let me start again. I was born in a brown one-story house with moss-covered walk. 2 dogs flanked the kitchen. Snakes and snails swirled in the garden. Now I'm grown. Now I sing to death every morning. The floor plan here is simple. Entry with octagon-shaped windows for watching rain. Then down the long hallway, a tomb. Past it, a door for anything that leaves. So this next poem is called Grief's People. And it was recently on Facebook, and my father, who is here tonight, read it. And last night we were talking on the phone, and he said, "Oh, I read your poem." And I said, "Well, what did you think of it, Dad?" And he said, I think you need to tell me what to think of it," which made me, I was like, I guess he didn't get it. And I was a little devastated, honestly. So I want to put a little preamble on this poem so that maybe I can land it. So Grief's People, I wrote this poem in the spring of 2012, very soon after my partner, James Moriarty Johnson, had lost his daughter, who I loved greatly. And of course, we were, grieving. And so I wrote this poem called Grief's People. It was spring. Grief's People. At the spring equinox, my grief spun the sun's light into small people. I gathered them and set them to live in the ground, to tend the seeds, to pick at them and burst them. They were grim in their work, though their tiny axes gleamed. Beneath the new green that year, a factory of tears saw the flowers bloom. Born. It's supposed to be born, not bloom, but they both kind of work. All right. I'm just going to read 2 more poems. This is a poem called Cook, and I've always liked this poem because I love cooking and I love food. Cook. I'm happiest cooking in the morning before the day reduces to thicknesses. I quarter the apples first, arrange them in a yellow enamel pot. I praise the solid form of butter, just as it melts around onions. I slice them quick, ease them off the board into an iron pan so hot, what else matters? I waste nothing. Skins of fish I tack to trees in the yard. Rinds I let dry in heaps on the hall table. The day I came to cooking, I'd led an inconsequential life. Then the ceremony of crackling salt pork deranged me. Okay. My last poem is called Bivouac, and it's another old poem. These are all old poems, but I've enjoyed visiting with these old poems and going back to it's just been great. So thank you for the opportunity, Gloria, for me to do this, and thank you all for listening. Okay, it's called Bivouac or Bivouac. I think it's Bivouac. I think it's a short I. What's most blinding now is my garden, how it expands in neglect. And what's odd and renewing is that I'd prayed for something like this, an end to epitome and order. I'd lost the slowness, so much so that I started to believe in asking. Can you propel me through the air, I said, into a new and ravenous quiet? Can you loosen and spill me? Whatever I build now will be makeshift, a place so susceptible to freedom, I won't even sleep there. Thank you so much, everybody. It's so good to see your faces.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Jennifer.
Thank you so much, Jennifer, and thank you so much for the kind words. You are a gem, and I loved hearing your work tonight.
Thanks, Gloria. Anytime.
You're always welcome. I just wanted to let you know that I'm turning my camera off because it was flittering a lot today, and I don't want to be distracted to either you or Chris or the audience while you're reading. So please forgive that. It's been temperamental lately. So our next reader is Christopher Reilley, and he's the Poet Laureate of Dedham. So yay! He is contributing editor for Acoustic Ink. He is the author of Grief Tattoos, Breathing for Clouds, and I love that title. In his most recent book, One Night Stanzas, published by Big Table Publishing. Chris is also poetry book reviewer for Cervena, so I'm really happy about that. And so I give you Chris.
Yeah, well, thank you, Gloria. Thank you very much. And like Jennifer did, I want to offer a big round of applause for Gloria and all the hard work that you do. I think everybody should, like she already said, where would we be without you? The world would be a much drearier place without Červená Barva Press and all the work that you've done and the books that you offer in the bookstore. By the way, if you haven't bought anything from the bookstore, I urge you to do so. Okay, so I am, I'd like permission to record. I guess I have to ask for that. I want to record my little bit, so if that's okay. I don't know, Gloria, if I lost you. I know you're recording, but.
Sorry, yes, go ahead.
Oh, okay. Let me, every time I click on record, it keeps popping up. I got to ask you for permission.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, well, I don't know if it, that's okay. You guys are recording. I'll get the recording from you later. That's not a problem. It's all good. Okay, so I'm reading, as Gloria mentioned, I'm reading from my latest release, One Night Stanzas, and a brief note of organization before I do. The book is broken up into 3 equal sections, poems of looking for love, poems about finding love, and poems about losing love. And the book sort of follows that standard story arc of seeking, finding, and losing. But for our own collective buzz, I'd hate to end on a downer. So with your permission, I'd like to read them in reverse. And we'll start with the loss and work our way up to the happy, good stuff in the beginning, okay? So we don't end up as a bummer. So the first 3 poems I'd like to read, all concerning, all having to do with loss. The first is called Your Place. It's not fair to ask someone to walk through the crud of your soul long enough to find a clean place to build their spirit nest. But you plucked my own heart free of its constraints like a pickpocket on the boardwalk with glib patter and distraction. I didn't know it, but my heart was already yours. Before our first kiss, and doomed after that. So you championed me, comforted me, rebuilt me from the swept up pottery left behind, and turned me into who I am now. But you never found your clean spot where you knew that you were adored, forgiven, respected, and wanted. A place to put your heart for safekeeping. And so, your heart remains with you. Like every good book of love poems, we need some anti-love poems to give us some zest, to give us some taste. So here are 4 quick Hallmark anti-Valentines. Violets are blue, roses are red. Your insurance is paid, you're better off dead. Do you remember your promise to me? Back in September, you swore fidelity. But then in December, you wanted to be free. So now you're dismembered neath the old oak tree. You swore undying love with a liar's breath. My heart I gave to you. Now you can die a cheater's death, and I'll begin anew. Yeah, those are anti-Valentines. I know, they're kind of a bummer. Right? Last but not least, last anti-Valentine. A Valentine for you, my love, a pile of sweet red roses to mask the smell from the room above as your corpse decomposes. Okay, I get it. I know. Those are definitely anti-Valentines, poems of loss. And the third and final poem of loss. Thank you. The third and final poem of loss. I memorized you. It was my fault, I admit it. I knew that you were not really mine to keep. And that's why I kissed you 1,000 extra times and told you it was just my way. That's why I always gazed a few extra seconds before looking away, and why I stayed up all those nights to watch you sleep instead of getting any rest myself. I work hard to memorize every curve and mark on your body so that when you left, I would not forget. I listened extra carefully when you spoke, because I knew I would need to replay your voice when I was all alone. And that's why I told you I loved you so many times and held you as close as I did, pressing your body against my own, because I knew that someday my sheets would smell of you, but you would not be there. I'd be alone. And so I took in your warmth, looked at you in sadness, and I never told you why. I watched you dream because I knew I would not get to see you change and grow. Sometimes things were only built to break. I cherished you all I could, but you still left. And I'm starting to wish I never memorized you, because now I cannot forget. I've learned you like the lyric to the best song ever, and you've been having to do with thank you. So those poems were all about, of course, we can all relate to that. But now let's talk about being in love, that joyous moment when the world is at your feet, shall we? The first poem I'd like to read for you is called Soul Windows. Her chocolate eyes look transplanted from her father's face. The singular color and the way she looks at you directly and with no shame imparts the gentleness of her soul. If I pull up a chair beside her, I can watch her eyes dart back and forth behind her glasses as she reads, missing nothing in the fine print, nothing but the truth, no matter how hard, no skimming and wishing. And then she turns, she drops her chin, looks at me over the tops of her glasses, and everything I know about her fierce integrity and unwillingness to give up the last of her innocence, her young heart, her fears and joys that press themselves together all at once and force themselves deep into my heart all at once. I want to stand to attention, draw my sword, and swear my life. I want to run madly around the coffee table with my arms out like airplane wings, shouting sonnets. I want to pull those eyes close, enjoy the moment that's owed to us. I wish that I could get behind those eyes, settle into the driver's seat, For now, there was nothing but those eyes, looking at me over those glasses and that coy smile, because she knows what those eyes do to me. For now, there's only the face of my love, whose movements I struggle to parse. For now, there is only clumsy language, rusty, jagged, pig iron tongs grasping for purchase in the liquid silk of her soul. And the title should be self-explanatory, right? I lay to you alone. My words, the distillation of my heart. Words with the power to crush me with ridiculous ease, or to lift me beyond the scope of the sky. My eyes can see you as you are, but it's my beating heart that tells me you're the gravity that keeps me from running, and the only prize under the sun worth fighting for. To hold of my honor, piss on the difference between right and wrong, sell myself into indentured servitude, and rage in green-eyed anger. But what I will not do is break my faith with what my love has shown me, that belonging to you has made me who I was meant to be. I promise to dream of you every night, from this day until my very last day. And I promise to speak softly to you every night before sleep, whether you're there to hear it or not. And the third love poem is called World Without End. Longer than a city block where children skip and play, under the streetlights call them home, where supper and comfort waits. I love you bigger than a breadbasket filled with freshly baked joy, crunchy and flaky outside, soft and warm inside, served with honey at midnight. You are my sunshine, played on an old upright piano on an empty stage in an empty gilded hall for the empty velour seats. You are the deluxe assortment of crayons with gold and silver and 6 shades of green in the box with the built-in sharpener, a wealth of possibilities. Together, we're the welcoming committee at the landing where the train that is one of us enters the station that is the other, and we finally embrace. And we have a couple more here, last but not least, in the looking for love section. This is I'll let the poem speak for itself. It's called Coincidental Orchids. Concealing her newly flowered, hard-won bruises, she waited, for the moment to act was not yet right. The faded beauty whose use propriety abuses hid her warrior behind mirrored shades, looking for a fight. Lugging bundles of thornless roses to the bus, she preserved what seller's value yet remains. Mumbling tales of synchronicities hold on us, the noise was more than just the nation's oil chains. Mother going blind taught her how to pluck sunshine. Father leaving home taught her to shield her heart away. One moment you're shooting the shit inside the goal line, the next you're scrambling to gather life in disarray. A smile for the man who swiped her card, arrow up. A frown for the one who smelled of screw cat booze. She knows all get offered a drink. She faltered for a half-felt moment that memories door. When free in her eyes above, she found her own home once more. As her ride pulled away and she turned away from might-be's, she steeled her mind to choices she'd made if she'd known. She would have had someone say bless you if she sneezed. She would not have to see herself in her twilight years alone. And so, to her hollow home and her lonely cold bed, She comforted herself while tiring of the repetition. There was no escape from Demon's Race. She tiredly resigned herself to a spinster's submission. The orchid on the stoop caught her eye, and then her heart. The man from the market last week, or perhaps some other, a memento left to spark a conversation-shy start, left alone, so no propriety should smother. She smiled with real warmth, clutched her treasure. A woman who knows she is desired, unaware of the orchids that dropped from a prom girl's wrist, and coincidence landing them where they were required. And finally, the final poem I'd like to share with you this evening is the title poem from One Night Stanzas. One Night Stanzas. He is glib, smooth, his patter poetic. They line up to hear his pretty lies. His manner is calculatedly magnetic, and before the hellos, he's already practiced goodbyes. False compliments and meaningless banter win him closer to their sexual mysteries. He's a wordsmith, a poet, a female enchanter, his conquest written in singles histories. He has a gift, a charm that transcends his form. Words drip like honey petals from his lips. For the sake of her body he will perform. The hunt for him does morality eclipse. Falling on soft ears that inhale his work, deflecting senses both common and aesthetic, his words find a heart shadow in which to lurk, and from there they can build a profile sympathetic. He uses words like love and amour to describe what he really wants. They're both the trap and the lure to all from geriatrics to debutantes. And she keeps his secret, and he keeps hers. No need to disrupt their existing relationships. She need not reveal what later occurs. And anonymity, often courage, equips. This is all about tonight. Tomorrow means little. They down their shots of liquid nerve. For him, it's all about successful acquittal. For her, it's the masking of her natural reserve. She craves knowing what will come next, unaware that she's dancing to his tune. His flowered speech renders even flimsy pretext into heartfelt verse to make her swoon. Waiting for his unconquerable moves so that she might feign resistance, because of his words, her self-image improves, and her clothing falls to his persistence. Before giving him what they both want, his lovely words opened her heart and loins. She takes a moment to beauty flaunt before passion entangles and enjoins. Tomorrow they'll both tell their mirror that it was not meant to be. With morning light, they see much clearer that he must always be unfettered and free. The night burns ever after as a thought, a memory of pleasure shared and pursed. The passion that crafted words had bought a night of heaven gotten with verse. And I thank you for your time. Please, please, please support your independent booksellers like Červená Barva Press and come to another Zoom poetry reading so we can all have this much fun another time. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Can we give both readers another round of applause, please? Thank you so much, Chris. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
And before we end tonight, I just want to announce who we have tomorrow, and that is Miles Gordon, Ed Hamilton from New York, and Neil Silberblatt.
Neil, wow, all right, from Voice of Poetry. Yeah, right, go Neil.
Yep. So anyway, thank you so much, everyone, and have a good night. And that's it.
See you tomorrow.
That's all there is.
Thank you,
Thank you, family members.
Love you, Jennifer.
Love you all. Love you all.
Bye.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Gloria. Great reading.